bobtail marsh, flat and silver gray. Boardwalk creeks in a measured march where the herons sway. Water mirrors fractured like clouds and drift in bands. Bootsteps fall in patient time on weather-softened planks. Beyond the reeds the back road bends, dust lifting in the vale. Fence lines fade where farmland ends and low hills start to pale. The thermos warms the waiting palm, tin cup takes the pour. Every mile trades hurry for calm, like I've known it all before. Afterglow loosens at the seams, gold along the grain. Shadows stretch in quiet streams across the stubble plain. Let the distance thin the sound, let it clear the chest. There's a steady truth I found in the miles that ask for less. No signpost on the open rise, no headline in the air, just the breadth of unclaimed skies and the feeling of being there. By evening driftwood sparks to flame in a shallow ring of stone. Smoke ascends without a name through a dusk of cobalt tone. Crickets keep a brittle hymn, stars take up their posts. Out here even what grows dim feels near, then it was close. Let the distance thin the sound, let it settle slow and fair. There's a steady truth I found in the quiet breathing there, just the marsh and the dark around, and the sky too wide to wear.
Between two ridges pale and white, a ribbon river bends, carving silver through the side, a stone that never ends. Grass is lean and windward rolls, brush against my knees. Every step I'm fast as those small forgotten keys.
Higher up the timber thins, gives way to open shale. Sky pours blue in patient skins across the valley scale. Backpack set on sun-warm ground, shoulders eased and bare. Nothing here demands a sound beyond the breathing air. Laylight gathers at the seam where mountain meets the plain. Gold unravels like a dream, too simple to explain. Let the far hills keep their names, let them fade to gray. There's a peace without a claim in watching light give way. No need to mark the passing hour, no ledger left to fill, just the quiet borrowed power of standing still. By night a careful fire is laid, with splinters, bark and pines. Sparks ascend and gently fade beyond the timberline. Out house and low and rounded calls echoed soft and slow. Out here even silence falls like steady drifting snow. Let the far hills keep their names, let the dark move in. There's a peace without a claim beneath the cooling skin. Just the hush where light has been in the wide, unmeasured wind.
Bows lean like tired old men along the shoulder of a gravel line. Wind moves low through the skeleton pines and gathers where the fields begin. Morning hangs in a silver thread, caught on the barbs of the rusted wire. Boot soles whisper against the dirt, like they're keeping a small, steady fire. Further out where the county fades, tall grass bows in a patient wave. Crows cut arcs through the open blue like ink that doesn't need to stay. A cooler knocks in the back of the truck, maps curled soft in the glove box seam. Everything I owned for the weekend fits inside this quiet breathing scene. And the light keeps changing its mind, sliding slow across the plain. Every mile loosened something tight I didn't know had a name. So let the road unspool its thread, let the horizon widen thin. There's a mercy in the empty miles and the way the wind moves through the skin. No sign to tell me who to be, no clock but the sinking sun. Just the hum of tires on borrowed time and the ground saying keep going on. Keep going on. Night comes down without a sound. Firewood snaps in a modest flare. Smoke climbs up in a crooked line and disappears into colder air. Stars press close like listening stones, heat in my palms, dirt on my knees. Out here the dark feels less like loss and more like something that frees. So let the road unspool its thread, let the horizon widen thin. There's a mercy in the empty miles and the way the wind moves through the skin. No sign to tell me who to be, no clock but the sinking sun. Just the hum of tires on borrowed time and the ground saying keep going on. Keep going on.
Low fog tangle in the reeds, silver on the river's spine. Morning loosens what it needs from branch and fence and An empty road without a mark waits under paling blue. Boot steps strike a quiet spark in grass still wet with dew. Up beyond the cattle gate, the hillside opens wide. Clouds roll slow and hesitate above the turning tide. Canvas tent and folded sleep, ashes cold and thin. The earth hums low and steady deep through boot leather and skin. Daylight leans on granite stone, warms the lichen face. Every mile walked alone finds its patient place. Let the white air clear the head, let it rinse the crowded tone. There's a truth in paths that spread where no seed has yet been sown. No headline in the circling hall, no verdict in the sky, just the rhythm of a slower walk and the years slipping by. Dust, the fire resumes its glow. Amber in the dust, smoke climbs up in lines that go where daylight leaves its trust. Crickets keep a fragile beat, stars appear in twos. Out here even the incomplete feels like something true. Let the white air clear the head, let it settle in the bone. There's a truth in paths that spread far from what is known, just the rhythm of a slower tread in the hush I've grown to own.
Frost on the split rail fence, morning pale and spare. Breath hangs low in a quiet suspense of untraveled air. A gravel turn with no signpost curves toward the pines. Sunlight brushes what it wants most in thin, deliberate lines. Beyond the bend, the timber thaws, drips into the stream. Water worries winter's flaws with a patient silver gleam. Canvas rolled and kettle packed, ash brush from the grate. Every mile I don't look back, arise without a wait. Warm on bark and stone, shadows drawing tight. Daylight settling into tone before it slips tonight. Let the quiet take the lead, let it choose the pace. There's a wisdom in the reed that sways but keeps its place. No banner on the open hill, no clock in the sky, just the art of standing still as the hours drift by. By dusk a careful flame is laid between two patient logs. Smoke braids upward unafraid and thins to evening fog. Stars appear in scattered seams across the darkened field. Out here even broken dreams lie simple and unsealed. Let the quiet take the lead. Let it thin the noise. There's a wisdom in the reed that doesn't need a voice. Just the dark and slow recede of embers making poise.
Beneath a sky of thinning gray, the meadow holds its breath. Tall stems bow in a restless sway. At the edge of quiet depth, boot prints mark the softened ground. Then blur in settling light, a distant ridge without a sound turns slowly into night. Beyond the bend, the river runs with a patient silver tone. It rounds the stones like weathered tongues, carving what is known. A kettle hums on a modest flame, steam curling toward the trees. Smoke writes out a crooked name in the language of the breeze. My skin, day unthreads its golden lines and lets the dark slip in. Let it slip in slow and wide, let it rest along my bones. There's a comfort in the open side of fields and scattered stones. No roof but branches overhead, no walls but fading blue. Just the earth beneath my steady tread and a horizon breaking through. Soft in a quiet rain, crickets tune the air, stars begin their glinting, sing in patterns spare and fair. Breath drifts pale in the settling cold, hands warmed by amber glow. Out here the night feels calm and old, with nowhere else to go. Slip in slow and wide, let it settle where I stand. There's a comfort in the turning tide of sky and open land. Just the earth beneath my steady stride, and the hush I understand.
washed on the fence like silver thread. Morning spills where the creek bends slow and wakes the stones from bed. A crow drags sound across the field, thin and dark and wide, boot soles press into thawing yield where last night's shadows hide. Past the line where the birch is thin, a narrow trail cuts through, saplings tremble in quiet wind, brushing coats with dew. Canvas pack with a softened seam, tin cup catching light. Every breath leaves a drifting stream in the ribs of early white. Oh, somewhere high the daylight grows, unfolding pale and clear. Silence hums in the steady rows of trees that gather near. Let the hours fall unplanned, let them loose and let them go. There's a rhythm in the open land, moving soft and low. No measure but the woodpeckers knock, no bell but the bending pine. Just the pulse of a patient rock, keeping unmarked time. By dusk the clearing turns to coal firelight on the bark. Smoke lifts up in a thinning roll and braids itself with dark. Sparks rise quick then disappear, brief as a struck chord's tone. Out here even the quiet feels like something fully grown. Let the hours fall unplanned, let them settle where they stand. There's a rhythm in the open land, no clock can understand. Just the pulse of a patient hand on the grain of cooling sand.
Cicadas in the cottonwood rattle out the heat. A narrow track of splintered wood runs shy beneath my feet. Sunlight caught on broken glass from bottles long turned sand. Tall weeds bow as I pass through this unclaimed land. Beyond the bend a quarry sleeps, filled with rain and sky. Cliff walls hold their shadowed keeps, where swallows wheel and cry. Backpacks set on limestone dust, shoulders free of weight. Every mile trade noise for trust at a slower, steadier rate. Late day spills in amber sheets across the scarred out stone. Warmth retreats in quiet beats that echo on their own. Let the wide cut hold its blue, let the water take the light. There's a kind of steady truth in what's left open to the night. No railing on the quarry's edge, no warning in the air, just a hush along the ledge and the wind that lingers there. Dark, a small flame wakes in a ring of scattered shale. Smoke climbs up in fragile snakes that fade and turn to pale. Stars lean hard on broken rock, cold and sharp and clear. Out here even the ticking clock feels thinner than it did back here. Let the wide cut hold its blue, let the silence have its say. There's a kind of steady truth that doesn't wash away, just the hush that settles through where the daylight used to stay. Wind through the alder leaves, low and even as of song. Dust on the cuffs of worn out sleeves, pockets lined with calm. Gravel bends where the roadside dips, fence posts tilt and sway. Morning rests on the cattle grids in a pale, unguarded way.
Up ahead the timber thins, reveals a wider plain. Clouds drift slow on borrowed winds, like thoughts without a thermos warms the waiting hands. Tin cup brings out light, boot heels press in yielding sand at the edge of open height. Somewhere between the breath and bone, the hurry starts to fade. Daylight settles into tone, in silver and in shade. Let the silence take its shape, let it circle, let it stay. There's a truth the miles create when the noise falls away. Bending grass, no echo I must defend, just the shadow that the ridges cast and the slow horizons bend.
By dusk a fire begins to lean,
amber licking bark.
Smoke draws lines where I have been
and hands them to the dark. Crickets stitch the cooling air, stars loosen one by one. Out here even the empty feels like something gently done. Let the silence take its shape, let it settle in the chest. There's a truth the long roads make in hush of the west. Just the shadow and the open stretch, and a heart at quiet rest.
Dust lifting off the county lane, laid like hard and wire. Fence posts leaning in a chain of weather, rust and fire. Meadow hums in amber tones, hay cut low and clean. Boot steps over scattered stones, where the creek runs thin and green. Further on the timber dips, reveals a widening field. Cloud shadows like passing ships on a quiet earthen shield. Thermos warm against my hand, tin cup catching sky. Every mile across this land lets the smaller questions lie. Evening loosens from the grain, gold thins in a blue. Day withdraws without a claim on what it used to do. Let the horizon have its way, let it take the frame. There's a peace in how the day forgets to stake a claim. No marker on the rolling hill, no border to defend. Just the breath before it stills at the far edge of the bend. By night a cedar spark is coaxed between two steady stones. Smoking silver ribbons cloaked the dark and soft tones. Crickets thread a patient line, stars lean close and slow. Out here even passing time moves low and easy going. Let the horizon have its way, let it thin the noise. There's a peace in how the day releases what it holds. Just the bend where light gives way and the dark unfolds.
Ash on the cuff of my flannel sleeve, morning pale and thin, a meadow waking slow beneath the hush. I'm standing in fence wire holds a silver line of dew against the day. Cattle pass through scrub and pine, curve softly out of the way. Beyond the rise, a valley spills in muted shades of grain. Wind drips slow slide. Every mile walked alone opens something wide. Sunlight leans on weathered boards, barn tin flashing bright. Shadows loosen their quiet chords as noon gives way to light. Let the long field keep its hum. Let it circle through my chest. There's a calm in what won't come when the day is left to rest. No headline in the bending ride, no verdict in the sky, just the steady earth and I, and the hours passing by. By evening cedar catches flame in a careful ring of rock. Smoke ascends without a name beyond the ticking clock. Stars appear in scattered rows, cold and clear and far. Out here even silence knows exactly where we are. Let the long field keep its hum. Let it settle in the bone. There's a calm in what won't come when the miles are walked alone. Just the dark and the afterglow of embers breathing low.
Stone dust rising in the past, sun caught in the pines, a narrow trail through broken grass, unspools and quiet lines. The lichen clings to leaning slate, cool against my hand. Every turn arrives too late to measure or to plan.
Still the timber clears, sky widens without a seam. Wind combs through my scattered thoughts like water through a stream. Canvas pack against my spine, breath steady, slow and thin. The ridge holds up a borrowed line of where I've never been.
Afternoon grows soft and spare, light thins into gold. Shadows lengthen unaware of what they used to hold. Let the higher take the weight, let it pull it from my chest. There's a quiet at this height that asks for nothing else. No railing on the edge of stone, no echo to defend, just the vastness over bone and the blue that doesn't end.
By night a careful spark is laid between two weathered logs. Smoke braids through the cooling shade and drifts in silver fog. Stars arrive without a sound, sharp as scattered glass. Out here even solid ground feels wider as I pass.
Let the high air take the weight, let it leave me clear and slow. There's a quiet smoke from the morning fire clings to the color seam. Pine needles lift a thin sharp choir through pockets of sunlit steam. A narrow road in a shallow bend hums under idle tires. Fence posts lean like they don't pretend to reach any higher wires. Beyond the curve the valley opens, hay bales stitched in rows. Clouds drift slow in woolen tokens over fields of crows. A thermos knocks against the seat, maps crease at the fold. Boot soles carry dust and heat where the shade turns cool and old. Somewhere past the last white barn, the daylight starts to thin. Gold unravels from the yarn of everything it's been. Let the wide horizon breathe. Let it press against the chest. There's a quiet you can't conceive until you let it rest. No signal in the bending grass, no name upon the wind, just the hours as they pass and the shape they're settling in. The kindling takes a spark, small and patient, bright. Smoke braids silver into dark at the edge of sight. The edge of sight. Crickets stitch the cooling ground, stars begin to show. Out here even the smallest sound has somewhere slow to go. Let the wide horizon breathe. Ooh, let it loosen what has been. Ooh, there's a quiet underneath the noise we carry in. Just the hours as they thin. Settling in.
Past the last low water bridge where the blacktop raised his stone summit climbs the roadside ridge in colors overgrown. Telephone lines dip and rise like a slow uneven breath. Cornfields flicker under skies that feel both wide and depth. In the bed of an aging truck, a coil of rope and tin, cooler knocking with a luck that doesn't need to win. Dust comes soft through open glass, settles on the wheel. Every mile the moments pass, with cedar bark and pine. Sparks lift up and disappear beyond the timberline. Crickets tune a careful thread. Owls trade notes in pairs out here. Even what's unsaid rest easy in the air. Let the small oak take its time. Let it fade beyond the pine. There's a steady nameless rhyme in the dark between the lines. Just the breath of distant signs and the slow release of signs. Thin light spilling through the firs, silver caught on resin tears. Morning hums and softened blurs along the trail of years. Loose stones shift beneath my weight, a quiet, careful sound. Breath rises slow and dissipates above the thawing ground. Forage lines in faded blue hold up the open sky. Clouds drift through and scatter, flow like smoke that won't reply. An old tin cup against a pack keeps time with every stride. Dust collects in the folded map where smaller roads divide. Somewhere past the fallen pine, the air begins to clear. Daylight draws a thinner line, pulls the shadows near. Let the distance do its work, let it smooth the restless mind. There's a mercy in the quiet arc of leaving tracks behind. No banner raised, no grand refrain, just wind along the stone and the steady, unrecorded gain of standing here alone. By evening, firelight finds the bark, amber on the grain. Sparks ascend into the dark like brief and tender rain. Owls trade calls across the bend, low and almost shy. Out here edges start to blend with earth and widening sky. Let the distance do its work, let it settle in the bone. There's a mercy in the quiet arc of miles that stand alone. Just wind along the cooling stone and the weight of what is known. Under a washed out afternoon, the hillside breeze in tan and green, fence lines hum a crooked tune through fields half harvested. I've seen a pickup cools in ticking sighs, he lifting off the hood. Bootsteps cross where the meadow lies, impatient, weathered wood. Further on, the cottonwoods shake silver from their leaves. A narrow creek through cattails stood and bends but never leaves. Palm against the cooling stone, back against the bark. The wide expanse makes room alone for what outlasts the dark. Evening leans on amber light, soft across the plain. Shadows stretch themselves tonight and settle without a name. Let the long field have its say. Let the tall grass speak in waves. There's a steady kind of grace in the way the daylight caves. No ceiling but the thinning blue, no border to defend, just the ground coming through my shoes and the edges starting to bend. Firelight finds the scattered logs, cracks impatient time. Smoke drifts up in wandering arcs like a half-remembered line. Stars press close in quiet flocks, cold along the seam. Out here even the silence talks in a low, unbroken stream. Let the long field have its say. Let it roll and let it send. There's a steady kind of grace in the way the edges bend, just the ground through boot and bone, and the light that doesn't end. Gravel in the cuff of my jeans, morning caught in the cotton seams. A pale sun slips through broken leaves and in narrow amber beams. Fence gates sigh on a single hinge, feels lie wide and thin. Wind combs through the bend and ride, like quiet settling in. Further up where the map turns blank, where the service fades to none, old tire tracks and hardened clay. Silver in the sun, a thermos hums with bitter heat, steam in the cooling air. Boot heels press into moss and root, like a slow, impatient prayer. Somewhere past the thistle line, the day begins to thin. Light folds up its golden edge and lets the blue come in. Let it come. ground breathing under me, like it's glad that I am there. Firewood cracks and measure time, sparks drift loose and bright. Smoke writes brief uneven lines on the margin of the night. Cold slips in through wool and skin, stars begin to show, each one like a distant bell ringing far below. Let it come in soft and low, let it settle in the deep. There's a language in the open land that asks for nothing I keep, just the ground breathing under me, and the dark that doesn't close.
The trail begins where the asphalt thins, where weeds press close to the shoulder line. Gravel hums underneath my steps like a low, unhurried rhyme. Fence wire sings in a restless breeze, tin cans roll in the ditch below. Dust lifts slow in the amber light, like something learning how to go. Pine sap clings to my open hand, sweet and sharp as a memory. Shadows stretch from the leaning trunks in quiet geometry. A creek folds through the cedar roots, cold as glass, clear as breath. Every stone beneath the flow turns the silence into depth. Evening settles in layers of blue, soft as wool on the ridge. Smoke from a modest, patient flame drifts thin as a whispered bridge. And the dark comes easy here. It doesn't ask me for a name. It lays its weight across my shoulders like a steady borrowed frame. No echo but the owl's low call. No rush in the blood or bone, just the earth turning underfoot in the comfort of being alone. Stars hang loose in a widening sky, scattered grain on a blackened floor. The fire collapses into red and asks for nothing more. Breath moves wide in the cooling air, boots rest near the fading coal. Out where the miles forget themselves, the night makes room for the soul. So let the dark come easy here.
like it finally found its home. Further west, the tree line breaks, reveals a copper plain. Cloud shadows drift like shallow lakes across the brittle grain. A flask of coffee, tin and worn, steam in the cooling air. Boot prints in the stubbled corn lead nowhere and don't care. Afternoon thins to amber light, soft on splintered wood. Every mile sheds a little weight, the way a long walk should. Let the long past rest in peace. Let the tall grass take the track. There's a comfort in the slow release of never looking back. No whistle in the open land, no schedule left to keep. Just the pulse beneath the sand and the fields falling asleep. By evening, fire in a coffee can breathes low and close to ground. Smoke climbs up as thin as a hand that doesn't make a sound. Stars leaning on broken steel, cold along the seam. Out here what is worn feels real and simple as it seems. Let the long past rest in peace. Let it settle where it lies. There's a comfort in the slow release of unclaimed skies. Just the hush of weathered ties under widening skies. Rain on the hood before sunrise, soft as a hand on tin. Clouds hang low in quiet ties over the fields I'm in. Wipers trace a steady arc and give the sky its due. Gravel wakes the morning dark with a muted silver hue. Beyond the town the fences fade, give way to open range. Telephone poles lean on grade, bare wires and subtle change. A thermos breathes against my palm, steam in the cooling cab. Miles unwind in leisured calm without a need to grab. Midday thins to a brittle shine, heat hums on the plain, light runs out along the line of wheat and summer rain. Let the long road rinse the noise, let it wear the edges down. There's a freedom in a smaller choice to turn the engine down. The sky, just the hum that lingers still as the white lines drift on by. dusk the rain has cleared its throat, leaves the air washed clean. Firelight flickers in my coat, where the grass turns dark and green. Smoke glints thin through cooling blue, stars begin to start. I'm here, even what is true doesn't press so hard on the heart. Let the long road rinse the noise, let it settle in the frame. There's a freedom in the small